Welcome to 216, a link to the Past Randomizer podcast. I am your host, Fear Agent. Today on the show, we've got Captain 1977. Had a lovely conversation with him. It was fun to just hang out and chat for a bit. We'll get to that shortly. A couple different things I want to touch on as we start this episode. First off, the 216 co-op tournament is just about finished with the group stage. We are currently in round 5 of a 6-round tournament, and it's gone really, really smooth. Big shout outs to both Clearmouse and Gem for helping out a lot with the asyncs. It's allowed the tournament to run really smooth, and them giving up their time to do that has been super awesome. So I really appreciate them for doing that. Moogle and I are currently 2 and 3. We dropped our last 2. We lost yesterday to Wall Kicks and Lin. Obviously 2 excellent runners, I think, both Crosskeys champions. We lost by 30 seconds. So that actually felt really good. The fact that we were in it. It was an interesting seed where our go mode item, the bow, and also a sword was in Pyramid Fairy location, which I believe was vanilla. I think it was a vanilla Pyramid Fairy. But there was no flute, and the red bomb shop was at Blind's Hut. So Moogle and I walked our asses around Kakariko, down south, and took the bomb to the pyramid, as you would do. And Moogle even mentioned earlier in the seed, like, I should do that. But I was like, it's such a long check. I don't want to do that. Now, here's the kicker. The sanctuary was at the pyramid. And what Lin and Wallakix did was start at the pyramid, mirrored, dashed over to Kakariko, and then back and saved a whole bunch of time. So if we were smarter, we actually could have pulled the victory out there, and things would have been a little bit different. But we lost by 30 seconds to our friends, and it was a lot of fun. It was a really fun co-op seed. A lot of stuff for us to do, a lot of variety, a lot of ways to split up, and it was like a pretty choice co-op seed, other than the mirror being on Purple Chest. So we're 2 and 3. We can't make top 4, but that's okay. We've been having a lot of fun. We did have a miss mark in our match against Fliphill and Vextopher, where Moogle was doing the South Shore checks and got distracted by going into pod at the dam location and forgot to check actual swamp, but marked it off the map. So we never found Thieves Town. That was another one we could have won. So, but we actually feel pretty good about it. Like, we've been playing really well. Our communication has been going really, really good. Mismarks happen though. Like even in a simple race, especially pre-auto tracking, but mismarks can happen. And when you have so much going on in a co-op crosskeys, it's super understandable. Moogle felt pretty bad, but I thought we played that seed really, really well. And, just unfortunate that didn't go that way. I'm finding that playing co-op and losing is so much easier than playing solo and losing. Just having someone there with you, just for me, makes the world of difference. So co-op crosskeys has been a lot of fun, and I think everyone's really enjoying it. So we're going to be heading to the brackets here really soon, just the top 4, and we'll see how that goes. Last week, we had one of my favorite episodes that I've ever recorded, the music draft episode. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Voting for that is still open. It will be open for a couple more weeks as well. So make sure you listen to that one and get your votes in. The link to vote is in the episode description and in the announcements in the 216 Discord. So make sure you're voting for that. Now, I just love Zelda music. I love the draft format. And then the 5 guests that I got just happened to be the 5 best. I feel like for this episode, it worked out really, really well. I loved all their choices. I loved the pool that they created. I was disappointed that there wasn't more Zelda 1 or Zelda 2, or shoot, even some Zelda 3 in there. But I think that what made it fun is the fact that they made it their own. So give that episode a listen. Again, one of my favorite episodes I've done, and I think you'll enjoy it too. But get your votes in. That's the most important. Get your votes in for who you think won. I'm really hoping for a bigger voting turnout than the past couple of drafts that we've done. So yeah, check that out. The league did finally announce the winners. I thought it was a little strange that they didn't announce anything after the invitational was over, that they waited for the open. I feel like they could have done too, but whatever. So Relkin, Humbug, and Will WC won the invitational. We kind of covered that. And then IB Karma, Armalex, and Zephykill won the open. So GG's to them. Congratulations to the Chris Roller crew. Them and a couple other teams have earned the invites to the next season of the League Invitational, which will not be happening in 2024. It will be happening in 2025 as the main tournament has moved to the fall and the league is moving back to the spring. So no league this year, but still excited for the next season. And we'll see some new blood in the Invitational. So that's pretty exciting. There was also an announcement that Relkin has stepped down as an admin, as someone who created that first admin team. It's kind of sad to see people moving on, but that's the nature of it. They added Lumaga last year, which was a great addition. And just salutes to Relkin for his time as admin in the league and as a mod. Like, he did a lot of work and really appreciated that. So I think the current admin team is Drossi, Dante, Amerith, and Lumaga, with Sigma as the one in charge of it all. So good team over there. So there's no spring main tournament or league. I know that some stuff is brewing. I have a little bit of an inside scoop on Moogle's Survivors of Hyrule. He ran that last year, and I know it went really well, and I think he's trying to get something going. So, maybe look for springtime for an announcement there. That would be my guess if he does bring it back. I've heard rumblings of a co-op tournament. I don't know exactly when or how it's going to be run, but kind of, again, I know there's things happening behind the scenes that are going to fill that springtime tournament hole. And then I'm sure there's other stuff. Like when, I planned on doing the 216 co-op tournament, I planned on launching it in January because I didn't think there was going to be anything else. Turns out there's a lot going on. There's the Randomizer tournament. There's a multi-world tournament. I think there's a couple other ones going on. So I imagine there'll be plenty of tournaments. Oh, Avian Art is happening. I'm sure there'll be plenty of tournaments being announced in the spring in place of the main tournament this year. So we'll see if we can keep it all together. Super Bowl is just around the corner. Go Chiefs. There's no way I'm rooting for the Niners ever. And pitchers and catchers report really soon. So baseball season's just around the corner. The Mariners have made some strange moves this offseason. They dumped a lot of people that didn't quite make sense. Didn't feel like they filled all the holes. But look at the lineup. It looks pretty good. They just added another arm to the bullpen. So, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic about the Mariners season. Excited about baseball. Sad to see football ending. But we've got hockey. And if you watch basketball, we've got March Madness just around the corner too. So lots going on. All right. Captain 1977 is on the show. Had a really interesting conversation with him. Really fun to talk and chat with him and just kind of try to pry him open. Kind of a tough nut to crack. But I had fun doing it, and I hope he did too. I think you'll enjoy it. So let's get to it. Here's Captain 1977. Did you grow up in Detroit? Are you in Detroit now?
I was born in Flint, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
And I live around the Lansing area now.
Okay. Is that I'm guessing that's close to Detroit-ish?
It's about an hour west of Detroit.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's why you're a Lions fan.
Yeah.
What about college football? Michigan State? Were you a follower of any of those?
I went to U of M in Flint, so I've always been kind of a Wolverines fan.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's a pretty big couple of weeks for Michigan, huh? Sports-wise?
Yeah. Sorry about the national championship there.
I mean, I think I'm not even upset about the national championship. I'm more upset about the fallout of the national championship than anything. But yeah, I mean, undefeated season, and and now you have the Lions winning their first playoff game in
32 years.
32 years. Gosh. It's it's bad when everyone is kind of rooting for you because it's been so long. You know what I mean? Like, I've been there. I've definitely been there, but things haven't gone well when everybody's rooting for you.
When you got like the Packers and Bears and Vikings fans, I'll be like, "Come on, you can do it!" Yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's bad when you got rival teams for sure. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. What's it been like over there? Have people been going nuts for the Bear or for the Lions and for the Wolverines?
I'm not here because I am technically in Michigan State country, which is like it's in East Lansing.
I see.
So they're always like, oh yeah, Michigan, oh yeah, but yeah, you know, everyone's pretty excited for the Lions coming up here, and there's we learn not to get our hopes up. Let's just say that.
Sure.
Because you know, we still got the Pistons who are terrible.
Oh my gosh!
So that's always
beyond terrible, right? Like what a miserable time.
Oh my god, yeah. But yeah, it's we're used to failure around here because you know Detroit teams are pretty synonymous with failures at end. But you know, we're trying to get used to the winning. I don't think
it's a culture, right? You got to like change the mindset. I think that's what Dan Campbell has kind of done in for the Lions. It feels like you know, let's kind of turn it around. Let's change that mindset of we're always losers.
I mean, I think our last professional sports championship was like the Pistons in 2004. I'm gonna say maybe the Red Wings later, but I don't think so. But yeah, it's been a pretty big dry spell for Detroit sports teams in Michigan. So
I mean, Detroit's just kind of had a rough luck. You say you grew up in Flint, and I don't know the full story, but you hear a lot of stories about like the living conditions and the water and all the shitty stuff that has had to endure as people living over there. It's got to be pretty tough.
Yeah, thankfully, I've been living in around the Lansing area for the last I want to say like 10 plus years now. So like the whole water living condition thing happened after I left, so I never got to really experience it that much. But
well, that's good.
Yeah, from what I hear is it's not been a good time, and you know, I've always wanted to go back there and let them know, you know, hey, you know, you're still my home,
right?
But a lot of times I don't get a chance to, but. Sure. Yeah, I still consider Flint my home because I've lived there for so long before I moved out here. So,
I see. I think you're about the same age as me, so I'm guessing you probably grew up with a NES. Was that your first like gaming experience, or did you have maybe an Atari or something?
You know, I never really had a bunch of video games when I was a kid. Honestly, because my first gaming console came when I bought my very first Super Nintendo. Like back in the mid 90s.
Okay.
It was from money I earned because my parents didn't like toys and all that jazz. And they're like, if you want something yourself, you have to go out and get it yourself.
Okay.
So that was kind of my experience with the whole game. Like the first games I remember playing was like, you know, Super Mario RPG on Super Nintendo, or you know, like a Link to the Past, you know, go figure. And but yeah, you know, because everyone that's always grown up with like video games and stuff, I was like, I never had that experience.
So you didn't even have like friends you'd go over to their house and like play some
I didn't have
like
many
Double
friends.
Dragons or something? Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I had some friends, but like, you know, it wasn't a thing where we would just we didn't want to be cooped up in the house. We weren't like the people that wanted to be in the house. We wanted to be outside and do like activities like playing baseball and stuff like that.
Sure.
So
okay. So what made you want to save up to get a Super Nintendo then?
I mean, it was something like, you know, I've known about it. I was excited about it. You know, like I used to go to arcades all the time. I'm like, yeah, I've always wanted one. I'm not gonna say I didn't want one, you know, because I wanted one, but you know, it's just like I had to save up so much money just to get my own. So,
what were you doing to save up money? Because I'm guessing you're what, 10, 12 at the time, maybe? Chore money?
I was, yeah, I mean, for a long time, I was mowing lawns of my neighbors.
Smart.
You know, doing like odd stuff around our neighbor's house. You're like, hey, you know, you need me to do anything, I'll do it for cheap. You know, just like a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there.
Yeah.
You know, just, yeah. So stuff like that.
I see. So it took you a bit then, I'm guessing, to save up for that Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Did you get the Super Nintendo? I'm not even sure if you remember this, but did you get the Super Nintendo that came with Super Mario World? Or was it something else? Because I know after the initial launch, they kind of changed up the games that came with it. I know you could get like All Stars and stuff.
Yeah, I don't even think I had I think it was a used one actually.
Oh, okay.
like remember the used video games for like Funko Land and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's where I originally got my first. That was a while ago, but yeah, I think so. I didn't really have a game with it. I always went to Blockbuster to rent my games and stuff. So
smart. So you weren't even buying games; you were just going game to game.
Nice. Yeah, who can afford like $50-$60 for a game?
I know for sure. I definitely rented my fair share of games. Though it wasn't really until later, I think, because we just didn't have the money to even rent games when I was growing up. We were pretty poor. So your parents didn't buy you your systems, but did they let you actually play? Because I feel like there's a lot of times where parents are like, just be outside, don't play video games.
If my parents were around more often, probably would have been like, yeah, don't play video games, but they were working a lot, so I spent a lot of time at my uncle's place, who thankfully let me play video games when they wanted when I wanted to. So also gave me my love for wrestling. So thank you, Uncle.
Oh, okay. So I talked with Mr. Angry Pants. That's not out yet, but I talked with Mr. Angry Pants a little bit about wrestling. So you grew up a wrestling fan as well?
Oh, huge wrestling fan.
Okay, so what era is this? Is this the Hulk Hogan era? Is it the Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels era?
I was more of an Attitude Era kid.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So you started watching with Stone Cold and The Rock and Triple H and HBK and stuff.
Shawn Michaels, yep.
Mm-hmm. Were you a WWF guy, or was it a battle between that and WCW, or did you like it all?
I remember always switching back and forth between Raw and Nitro on Monday nights, because I was over at my uncle's house again because my parents work, and he would always, because I remember Nitro starting at 8 p.m. and then Raw would be on at 9 p.m. And then they would run 2 hours between 9 and 11 at the same time. So we would always switch back and forth for sure.
So you didn't have an affinity for one over the other?
No, not really. I mean, the wrestlers switch companies so often. It was like watching the same thing pretty much over and over again.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what was it like? How did your uncle introduce you? Was it just him watching it and it's like, hey, this is what's on and we're going to watch wrestling? Or what was
pretty
it?
Much,
that hooked you?
Yeah. It's my uncle's, it was he wasn't always like, this is my house, we watch what I wanted. This is
right.
He's like, hey, do you want to watch wrestling with me? I think you'll like it. I'm like, sure, let's watch it. And my first show I watched, I was like, yep, this is for me. I love it.
Yeah. Who's your favorite?
Who's your favorint kid?
No, who's your favorite wrestler? Who's your favorite wrestler?
Yeah. That's like asking who my favorite child is.
I see. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Come on, you gotta have a favorite, or at least a couple favorites. Were you DX guy, or?
I mean, I grew up. Stone Cold was always so cool to me.
Yeah,
The Rock is hilarious.
I had. Okay, so this is kind of a sidetrack, but just this last weekend, I signed up for Peacock, right? Because the NFL made me sign up for Peacock if I wanted to watch football. Jerks. But you get access to NFL or WWE Network with that. And so I was like, oh, let's check some stuff out. And I watched the Royal Rumble 1999, which had the I Quit match between The Rock and Mankind, and it had the Royal Rumble that Vince McMahon won with the heat of his rivalry with Stone Cold. And I mean, Rock had those giant mutton chop sideburns, and I remember I was a high schooler, I was a senior that year, and I had rocked those same mutton sideburns because I wanted to be The Rock, and I'd rock the eyebrow, man. I just love The Rock so much. And Stone Cold was so cool. I just loved I mean, and then you see everyone in the crowd, just kids constantly telling everyone to suck it. It's just like an era that just brings so much nostalgia back for me. You know, it's like I super love that stuff. It was so good.
Yeah, it was. I just felt like it was so much more fun back then. Like you look at it now, as like if you look out into a wrestling crowd in like the late 90s, you will see everybody has like some kind of side that they're like, yes, we're excited to be here, thank you for showing up. Now you look out there, you like see one side that says, hey, here, you know, it's like it just feels so much like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like everyone was so much more excited back then to see wrestlers, and now it's like they're there and it's fun to watch still, but
yeah,
it's like
it's hard for me to say what's changed because I don't watch it all that often. I'll tune in here and there to kind of get an idea of what's going on, but it's like I feel like there's not as many people with as much charisma as there was in the late 90s. Like,
right.
I mean, it's hard to compare one of the greatest generations of wrestling to anything else, right? Like, it's like, how do you top it? And that's tough. So it's not necessarily the most fair thing to compare it to, but
yeah,
I don't know. Like,
I mean,
Roman Reigns just doesn't have the same sort of appeal. I know CM Punk is kind of on the is one of the more popular ones, but it's one of those guys that I'm not super familiar with. Like Seth Rollins is kind of interesting, but I don't know. It just feels like there's not as much character or quality of characters as there was in the late 90s. I mean, there was a lot of shit back then too, though. To be fair,
there was
a lot of shit.
Godfather. There was a porn star. There was so much more character work in the late 90s.
Yeah, even the terrible ones were kind of fun for sure. I mean, having the Undertaker be a part of that as well is always a good thing, and I feel like there's more mystique still behind wrestling in the 90s, where I feels like everyone's in on it now. Everyone knows all the behind the scenes stuff. And back then we didn't have access to as much information. It was wrestling magazines and the internet was still in its infancy. So we weren't as like knowledgeable. Like now it feels like everyone just knows everything, and it just doesn't, I don't know. It's not quite the same. I agree that it's hard to explain exactly what it is.
Yeah. I also like, I get like why people watch it now still, but like I don't go out of my way to watch it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, all our interests evolve and change into things that we might find more enjoyable over time. Sure.
I'm not going to subscribe to Peacock just to watch wrestling. You know, that kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. That makes
football,
sense.
Yes.
I mean, I already deleted my account. I mean, I deleted, but like, I was one subscription, basically paid $6. So we watched, the kids and I watched Shrek, so we got our money's worth on Peacock there. So, so you're growing up watching wrestling. You buy your own Super Nintendo. Mm-hmm. Do you still play video games as you get older, or does the Super Nintendo kind of like make you want to play more video games, or what's your video game journey then?
Maybe yes, I love playing video games. You know, obviously, I don't consider myself like a junkie of video games or, you know, anything like that. But you know, I still enjoy playing video games. Like, I don't know why, but for some reason, I like watching like different speed runs of video games.
Okay, so does this start early? Like, are you talking about way back? Because I'm talking right after you get the Super Nintendo, when you're still a kid, you know, mm-hmm. the Nintendo 64 comes out, the PlayStation comes out, the Dreamcast comes out. Are you purchasing these things, or are you know? I mean, still in the.
I mean, yeah, the Super Nintendo was kind of the gateway, I guess you could say, because right after that, soon after I got my first PlayStation 1.
Okay.
I discovered like Final Fantasy VII. I'm like, oh my god, I love this game. This game is great.
Mm.
You know, I mean, yeah, it wasn't like super into like every single video game system, but it was something that really got me going. Was the Super Nintendo for sure.
Okay, so you did buy a PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Did you continue on with that? Did you get a PlayStation 2, an Xbox? What about computer games? Was that a factor at all?
PC games weren't as much, but yeah, I did have a PS2 for a while because I think everyone had a PS2. at one point or another, because I think that's like the best console besides the Switch now. So yeah, but for sure. PS2, I pretty sure I had an original Xbox at one point. Probably. Yeah,
Right.
I remember playing like Knights of the Old Republic on the Xbox.
Okay. Are you actually buying stuff now, or are you still heading over to Blockbuster?
Well, I'm not buying anything, but then again, I'm not like paying for new games either. So
You're going the used game route.
yeah. Like I just got a Switch for Christmas. So.
Just recently?
Just recently, yeah.
Okay.
It was a gift. I just got a gift for a Switch. So
nice.
I mean, my job that I have right now is not the best paying job in the world, so I don't have a ton of money to spend on games. But what I can, when I can, I do.
Sure. So as you're getting older, are you then looking into speedrunning? Like when does your enjoyment of watching speedruns happen? Is that like as you're older, or is it early days of the internet?
I mean, I remember watching like I mean, I can go all the way back to like Justin.tv and watching stuff. Like the Twitch predecessor.
Mm-hmm.
So because I can remember like just people playing video games and just completely destroying them, and it kind of got me into like why I wanted to start start streaming. Just is I tried to do a Final Fantasy VII speedrun and realized, hey, you're not good at this. You probably shouldn't play it. Just watch it. I'm like, okay, that's good. All right.
So what even turned you on to something like Justin TV? Like, how did you even find the idea of watching people play video games?
I think it was my job at the time. I was a tutor at the college I went to, Baker College in Flint, and I worked at a computer lab most of the time, and I had a lot of downtime, and I just played at the computer for a while, and someone was like, hey, you should check this out. I'm like, oh, what's this? Oh, cool. People play video games. That's neat.
So,
all right.
So you find people or introduced the idea of people like speedrunning games, and you said you tried to do Final Fantasy VII speedrun. Was there anything in your life that you were doing as you were growing up that was competitive or kind of scratched that competitive itch?
I mean, I did play baseball in high school.
Okay.
As best as I could. I wasn't say I'm gonna. We were a good baseball team or anything, but it was I played. I was on the football team in my senior year in high school. I never really played like Dungeons and Dragons or any of that kind of stuff. But I just remember like I said, a lot of times we would just play outdoor sports, like just for fun.
You're just
not really like competitive. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a picture of what young little Captain 1977's like as a kid. I'm still fuzzy because you're not really playing video games, and you say you don't have a lot of friends, but you're just hanging out outside. And so I'm confused a little bit.
I had a very boring childhood.
I mean, I wouldn't say my childhood was exciting at all. Like, I was very boring too. My parents would limit the amount of video games we played to like 30 minutes at most. And so we had to be outside. So me and my brother were just out in the wood. We had like this like wooded area behind our apartment complex. We would just go there and like hit each other with sticks. Like that's not exciting childhood by any means. But that's kind of what we were doing.
I mean, I wasn't an only child, but I did have a sister. But my sister was completely different to what I am. She's one of those people. I had like a ton of friends in high school and just partied all the time, and I'm just like, that's not for me. Thank you. Sure. I'm just gonna stay over here. And I mean, I wasn't exactly a bookworm either, though. So I don't.
I'm trying to picture what is Captain 77 doing as a kid, because you're hanging out your uncles a lot, right? I guess.
I mean, yeah, that was pretty much my whole childhood. It was like hanging out at my uncle's place, and just not really playing video games, but we used to like I said, we used to watch a lot of wrestling together. That was pretty much it.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, you find what it is that you enjoy and then really get into it for sure. All right. So you get introduced to speedrunning and you take a crack at Final Fantasy VII. Doesn't go your way, realizing that it was pretty tough.
Yeah. Because it was probably back in, I'm going to say like mid 2000s I tried that. And then, for a while, I didn't try it for a while. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, one day I'm like, I haven't played Final Fantasy VII in a while. I wonder if there's like YouTube videos of like people that ran this.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked that up and I found one that was, this is a few years ago. Found a speedrun of Final Fantasy VII at AGDQ 2017, I'm going to say. Probably by someone you may know, Ashnep 174.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So I watched that one. It took him about 8 hours. I'm like, okay, well, I guess that was never gonna happen for me.
Is the speedrun 8 hours?
So,
holy crap!
At that time, yes. Now it's like they've got it under 6.
Oh, geez.
So
I mean, that's so long. Yeah.
But also that's kind of what got me into Link to the Past too. It was that run, because during that run they're like Link to the Past Randomizer Champion Edge, and so I'm like, what is that? Then it kind of spiraled from there, because I looked that up on YouTube. I'm like, Link to the Past Randomizer, So it was this race between Andy and Christos, I think it was, at the
GDQ run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep, and then started. That's kind of where I learned that what happened to Justin TV turned into Twitch at the time, and then started following some runners out there like Andy and Willard and Christos and all them. And
so this is back in like 2018, then
2018, probably maybe mid 2019.
Okay. I
want to say. So yeah, I've been watching this for a while, but I didn't really start running it till like probably a year after that, even. So
what was it that made you want to watch Link to the Past Randomizer? Because you mentioned you played a little bit of Link to the Past, but how familiar with Link to the Past were you?
I mean, it was, I felt like it's one of those accessible games that anyone can pick up and learn fairly quickly. I always thought it was something that was a lot of fun it looked like a lot of fun to play, so I wanted to, give it a shot. And then found out, hey, you're no good at this either. I'm like, all right, that's cool. Actually, and then, because I was going to try to play it, but there was this whole of, hey, maybe you shouldn't try this right now. But that's when I learned about like Gomo podcast. They had like the mentor tournament type thing going, and turns out I just missed the 2020 sign up, so I had to wait like a whole nother year just to even be able to consider being good.
Okay, hold on.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
I'm not even getting ahead of yourself. I'm just kind of trying to understand this mentality, because you said I can't run this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so where does that come from? Because anyone can play the game. Like racing is one thing, but you tried it and you just couldn't play, or tell me what's going on here.
I mean, I like I said, I have seen people play it. I thought I could just be like, oh, this doesn't look too hard. I probably could do this too. And then I actually tried to do it and realized it's not that easy.
Sure, I mean that is true, right? It definitely, you can't just pick it up and go. You have to have some knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah,
so you're just like, no, I don't want to do this.
I mean, it wasn't that I didn't say I don't want to do it. I needed more like exposure to it, I guess.
I see. That makes sense.
And that's where like the whole year from like 2019 to 2020, I'm constantly watching people play this game and just trying to get better at it and trying to pick up these subtle little nuances with the game that you can do that helps speed you along.
And so are you playing along? Are you like not doing races, but just watching people and then like going and grabbing a control and trying to do some of those things? Is it strictly just head knowledge, just trying to learn by watching?
I try to learn by watching, essentially, because at the time I did not have access to like a PC because I was watching on my phone for the whole time. And
I see.
Good. Then one day I'm like, okay, I'm gonna. Because actually, I first started playing the randomizer on a SNES Classic that I had modded. So
that was like one of the first ways I played it too.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy. It took me forever to figure it out, but it wasn't easy.
I mean, obviously I had a computer by then because you need a computer just to be able to do that. Then I'm like, realized like, hey, you can just play this on your computer, And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess that works too.
Yeah. So you missed out on the signups for the Go Mode podcast mentor tournament, right? You said.
Mm-hmm.
So you decide what?
It didn't stop me from joining the. Well, it didn't stop me from joining the ladder still and trying to do races and failing miserably for like season. I want to say the first time I joined was like in season 2 of the ladder, and I'm trying to be like, oh, I can do this. Yep, no problem. It didn't finish a race for like my first like 20 races. Did not finish a single one.
Okay.
Because I didn't know what to do.
Did you think about there's a million resources. Did you think about like checking out Discord resources or YouTube resources or?
No, I wasn't very smart.
So your first race is on the ladder?
Technically, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to say, God, it might have been like all the way back in season 2. Holy cow!
Yeah, I'm looking at your ladder record. You were 0-3. That season 2 was your first recorded race against Matt Cap. So already a tough opponent, and then this is not Yoho again, another tough opponent, and then someone that I don't recognize, Bear. I don't know who that is. So then. How do things progress from there? Like, do you end up joining a mentor tournament? Do you find people to kind of help you along, or is it just like brute force? I'm just going to play until I figure it out.
Yeah, that whole first from 2020, I kept joining. I was trying to get better. I kept asking. I was mainstay in Willard J. Bradley's channel for a long time. I kept asking him questions and annoying the living crap out of him with questions, and he's like, no, don't worry about it. I'd be happy to help me on this. Like, just going in people's chats, asking questions about the game, and then 2021 rolls around. Like, okay, well, they're probably gonna do another mentor tournament coming up, so I'm like, oh, I did end up joining that one.
How was your experience there?
I mean, my first race in that, I ended up winning somehow. Shout outs to Radical Sniper 99 Jesse, who mentored me in my first race and getting me a win because I fake powdered on bat and had something that was with the powders like Pented Ice Balls or something like that I didn't even think about going to, and my opponent did. So it was just completely luck. But after that, though, it really got me thinking, okay, you are able to do this. You are able to win. And then, like, shortly after that, I got my first win on the ladder shortly after that. And
how did that feel, that first win? Because it took a bit, right? Like, it took some perseverance. We went 0-3, 0-7-2, 0-8-1, 0-20-2, and then... And then 0-2-1, then 1-6-4. So you finally get that W. Are you elated? Are you relieved?
Elation is the perfect word for that, because I'm like, it has been so long. I've tried so many times, and just I couldn't believe it that I actually, I'm able to actually win this game now. Now like a couple years later, it's like, I'm upset if I don't win.
Mhm. Sure. So it feels like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like you took the hard path, maybe through lack of knowledge, because there's a
Mhm.
lot of resources and a lot of different communities and community members that can like help you learn a lot of stuff. But it feels like you were just like, I'm gonna figure this out on my own, right?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I think it goes back to when I was a kid too. It's like I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. I had to do a lot of things on my own. It was just the whole thing of you think you can do something because you don't have a lot of people telling you can do it.
Mm.
So you just have to try to figure things out for your own. And it was the whole thing. It was just not really knowing who to ask, or because I was always like, you're gonna do this on your own, and that's how it's gonna be. It's just I'm always on my own, even though that's not the case. Now I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's always somebody out there willing to help you.
Yeah, I mean, this goes.
Don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, this goes outside of even rando. I think this is just like a life lesson almost. Really, like, it's easy to think that you have to do it all yourself, and in some cases, you do have to do it all yourself. But a lot of times, it just takes asking for help, and that's hard. That's hard for a lot of us. I mean, it's hard for me. Like, I do want to do it on my own, and I'm the type of person that's like, I'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, it just makes things that much more harder than they needed to be. And yeah, so it's cool that that you're able to accomplish that and kind of get that win and feel that elation on your own. But it's also makes me a little sad that you had to endure that by yourself for quite a while.
I mean, it's just growing pains. It's nothing that's out of my normal state of mind that you're gonna fail plenty of times before you succeed. And
sure.
That's just the way life is sometimes.
Sure.
It's not anything that you're doing wrong per se. It's just how life is sometimes.
It is, but we also make it tougher on ourselves, right? Like it doesn't have to be as tough. Like you could have not waited until the mentor tournament and gotten help, but that takes you putting yourself out there and putting yourself in an uncomfortable position, something that you're not used to doing, which if you've listened to the show at all is something that I'm clearly not good at doing as well. So I can relate. So it's easy for me to say like, oh, this is what you should have done. But you know, just know that there's people that are out there that feel the same way. And it's, hopefully an encouragement to others that are listening as well, that you don't have to do it all by yourself. You can,
Yes, I'm speaking from experience here. This is to your viewers or listeners. Please ask for help.
Yeah.
Do not think you can do this on your own. If you think you can, you just ask for help. It's a lot easier that way. That's all.
Right. You probably can, but you can make yourself, save yourself some headaches for sure.
I mean, there's people out there that are just pick up the game. They're like, oh, okay, look at that. That's so easy. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then there's everyone else that struggles with everything, and that's okay too.
Yeah. So how did things progress as you started to, learn how to win? Did you join a league team? I think you're on the league, right?
I almost joined season 3. I say almost because I got asked to be on a team with New York Rambler and Kuchiri. Mm-hmm. And then I did a practice with one of them, and they're like, "You're not ready yet. We're gonna go with someone else." And but that was like during the 2020 times where I was just kind of still learning. But
sure.
But I did bounce back in 2021, where I joined with a couple of mentees. Lucy and Grief, who was I'm still on the team with, and then Nitro, who was also on there, and we didn't have a good first season of the league, in season 4.
Yeah, looking at the record, a big a big donut there, unfortunately.
Yep. Not a good time for us, unfortunately. But
So let me ask you about that, because so you're in the open league, right? Okay, so you're in the open league, and you don't win a race.
mhm.
Is it the experience of not, like the elation of winning is obviously what we're striving for, but are you able to enjoy the game still, or is it a slog? I don't know. Tell me about your experience going 0-14.
It's I will say it was frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
It, going through this whole time and just be like, because you're like, okay, well, we didn't win anything, but it's not like one of those things where you're like, well, I'm never playing this game again because we're never going to amount to anything. It's just something you have to work harder for.
Sure.
It's not anything that you have to be too discouraged about, because there's a lot of good players in this and that play this game, and you just have to try to get better.
Okay. So it wasn't terrible enough for you guys not to come back, because you mentioned you guys have been a team ever since. So you come back for season 5, you get a couple of wins.
Yep.
It looks like
I got my first win in season 5.
Okay, it looks like you replaced Nitro with Zetnix.
And Nitro decided not to play in the league, as we had to replace him with someone else, and it kind of goes full circle, because I did get one win in the league that year, and it was against Kuchiri, the team I should have been on in the first place.
Yeah. Is that we're just gonna get personal here a little bit. Was that hard hearing, like, you're not good enough for our team?
No, because I knew I wasn't good.
Okay. So it wasn't, you didn't have a beef, or you didn't hold that over their heads, but it was
Not
nice. I imagine
not at all.
It was nice to get that W over him, though, right?
I mean, it was so cool to watch, because actually since I'd been watching Willard for a long time, he decided to restream it on his channel, actually, and I was like, and I guess I made some kind of impression on him, be like, I guess he kind of likes me a bit or something, or else
Yeah.
I guess if you pay money enough for him too, you can do stuff for him. But still, it was such a relief to finally get that league win. That it was like, okay, I think I am able to do this. That was kind of the turning stone that'd be like, okay, this is now doable. You can do this. Just keep going. And I've been going hard ever since, really. So,
you guys got 2 more wins, so it wasn't like you almost made the playoffs, right? But
no.
It's got to feel like a big improvement. Were you able to enjoy that season a little bit more because of the wins, or because of maybe a different state of mind? Or
it was just
did it still feel like a slog?
Not to me, it didn't.
Okay.
It was more of a validation of like, okay, you are able to actually do something and achieve at a higher level than what I usually do. So, and that, even trying to qualify for like the main tournament, which I have yet to do. Hopefully next year, knock on wood. But like Challenge Cup wise, I've made the brackets 2 years in a row.
Oh, that's awesome.
So including winning my group last year. I was 5-1 in my group and won the whole group.
Dude, that's sick. So you definitely have seen improvement over the last few years.
Oh, for sure, yes.
In a way that makes you feel like you can keep going, right?
Yep. There were times when I wanted to quit. There were times that I didn't do a ladder race for like a few months, because I'm like, oh, this game's out to get me, or
sure,
just my own mind getting in the way of everything, and just saying, okay, well, this game is out to ruin me and make me feel bad about everything. But I know that's not the case. It's It's just how it goes.
Sure, I have that same mentality. It's like, why does this computer hate me? And it doesn't.
No.
Right. I always get these terrible seeds. The computer the randomizer hates me. The seed roller hates me. It's like, no, it's literally, there's nothing else to it than
It's
just
literally
randomness.
random.
Yeah. So you come back. You mentioned you did really well in the Challenge Cup this last season. You guys go 7-7. You have a winning record, dude. 4-3.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and again, we had to replace a member. Me and Zane, Lucian had to we got a Lana Bean. Shout out to Lana Bean. She is a really, really solid runner, and I was really happy to hear that she wanted to be on the team with me. So, yeah, it was really. I felt like it was a lot of hard work going into this season. I was, because we were in a group with the team that's right now in the Open League Finals, Crystal Roller Crew. Then we were also in the same group with Past Randomizer with really, really, really tough players there. We did not do well against those teams, which understandably, we're not going to because, they're really, really solid, but we kept it very close with them.
Yeah.
So, it was, I always have so much fun with just playing the game, watching the game, doing anything I can to do with the game.
Let me ask you this. I know Lucian is like super into Rush. Are you into Rush too? Because I know you guys have ever since season 5 have had like a Rush themed logo and name. Is that all Lucian, or is that sort of like a collective thing?
That is 99% Lucian.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah, he designs the logos. He comes up with team names, and
you're just like, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I'm just like, yep, there we are. Let's try Swamp. That's us. Yep.
So you and Lucian were in the mentor tournament together. That's how you guys formed a team.
We were in there. We didn't face each other because but I think it came about like because I was looking for a team at the time, and they're like, and he was like, "Hey, you want to be on my team?" I'm like, "All right." Then we got Nitro later, and it was just. I don't think it was necessarily meant to be like, oh, we're 3 mentees from the mentor tournament this year. It was just kind of like happenstance that all 3 of us were in the mentor tournament.
I see.
It was just we were just thrown together because we all needed a team. That was pretty much it.
And I imagine you enjoy hanging out and talking and playing co-op with him and stuff because you've been together for these last few seasons. He is a lot of fun to hang out with, and we have a good time with each other when we're playing. And is that how Lana joined the team? How did that happen?
Well, so Lana and I actually have been co-oping cross keys for like the past year.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, it's not the first time that we've teamed together per se, but we, I went into her channel one time. I'm like, would you ever want to co-op cross keys with me? She's like, what do you mean? Like, just be in a voice call and just like play it together? I'm like, yeah, just kind of share information, just try to finish as fast as we can. And, yeah, that happened probably, God, it was over a year ago at this point now. That we've been doing it on a regular basis, like almost every weekend. That because we just have too much fun with it.
Sure. I mean, I love it. That's for sure.
I mean, it's not like you made a tournament out of it or anything. I mean,
so as far as like community goes, you've been watching and commenting and doing a lot of stuff within the community for a while. I know you're really into like the Brew Crew, like Willard's Discord and stuff over there. Is that kind of would you consider that like your people, the ones that you chat with and hang out and talk with the most?
Yeah, no. There are like I try to get as much exposure as possible. Like I'm trying to be friends with everybody because I just want people to like me and for who I am and stuff. But like I said, I've been following Willard for almost been close to 5 years now. It's like, so I mean, he's definitely like the guy that I've watched at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy I try to watch as much as I can because I'm still trying to get better. I am not where I want to be. I still want to be better at the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I just watch whoever I can.
Sure. I get that. I mean, as far as communities go, I would consider you a part of the 216, especially the fantasy football community, because I am speaking to our first season's champion.
What happened?
What happened there?
Technicality.
I don't mean that as an insult, but you drafted all Lions that season. It felt like, and everyone made fun of you, including myself. And it turned out that was like key to victory.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't disrespect the Lions. Yeah, people forget that I also had Patrick Mahomes as my quarterback, and I had Tyreek Hill as a wide receiver too. That helped a lot too.
Yeah, for sure. So you feel like you're in a good spot as far as ALTTPR is going? You enjoy playing the game? You enjoy where you're at? Or no? Okay.
I mean, I'm enjoying it, yes, but am I where I want to be? No.
Sure. I'm not talking about necessarily like skill level. I mean, we're always trying to grow and build, but are you happy with how things are, where the community is, where your place in the community is? Where?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm not the most well-known person in this community. I'm sure. Like, there's some people that look at me like, "Who's this guy?" But I like to think that I try to get my name out there as much as I can, and I'm not like good. I would say I'm not like by any stretch of the means. I would even say not even decent at the game. So, but, I mean, I do enough to get by. That's about it.
All right. I think I need to do a special episode of self-talk. Because I feel like a common denominator through so many of these interviews is the fact that we just don't believe in ourselves. And I don't know. Maybe it's that Lions mentality after going 0-16. It's like we're always going to lose. It's like, no, man, we can win, and you can too. And winning doesn't necessarily even mean winning races. I think just kind of winning more in general of like getting to where you enjoy what you do. And if you're having fun, I think that's like the biggest thing. If you're having fun with Rando, then I think you're in a good spot. So
I think that's what a lot of people forget too, that what they forget to do is have fun. This is a video game. It is meant to be fun. Please have fun.
Yeah. That should be goal number one. All right. Tilt question coming up. Do you get tilted? And if you do, how do you handle it?
Oh, yes. Of course I get yes. There is because a lot of times when I'm playing this game I'm like, why is this always happening to me? Oh my God, why is then like my execution's not great all the time? And then I'm like, I see so many people that are so much better than me. I'm like, why can't I do that too? And then I realize, but then I tell myself, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. It's a video game. It doesn't really matter in the long and at the end. It doesn't really matter. Sorry, Linkin Park, didn't mean to quote you there. It does. It's a nice competitive thing to want to win all the time, but it doesn't really matter if you win or not. You got to have fun while doing it.
Do you find that helps you battle that tilt?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm like, because I'm like going through, if I'm playing, I'm like, okay, well, you probably lost by 30 minutes, so you might as well just start having fun. And then I finish, and I'm like, yep, I lost by 30 minutes. Oh well. It's not really. It's it's frustrating, sure, but it's not like the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
You just pick yourself up. Yeah. You just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, be like, "What about the next one?" That's really it.
Good stuff, man. That's good. It's hard to remember that in the moment, right? And just remembering that, like, it's okay that you lost, or okay that you got tilted, or okay things didn't go your way, and there's always next time.
Yep.
Well, cool, man. Thanks so much for doing the show. I'm glad you were able to take some time and come and hang out, and it's cool hearing your story, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is very cool for me to do, because to get out there and kind of share my story, and I really appreciate you letting me get my voice out there and just kind of share my experiences, because I feel like I'm no different. Like some people that are stream kind of like act differently, but when I stream, I'm me. That's just who I am. I'm not trying to do a character. That's me being me, and I hope I try to convey that as best as possible. And if I'm funny, I'm funny. If I'm not, I'm not. It's just I try to be funny, but sometimes I'm not. So I just try to have fun, and like you just try to do your best, and it's like my Discord says, just try my best to be better, and that's all I can do.
Want to thank Captain for coming on the show again. Really had a fun time chatting with him, and I want to encourage him. I hope that he is having fun. Like, that's the most important thing. And I think it's easy to focus on wins and losses a lot of times, especially when we're doing these interviews. And I really don't want to make that the driving force, is like winning is the most important. It's something that's easily measured, and we're racing, so you are trying to win. But the real win is like having a good time. Like, Moogle and I are having a blast playing co-op cross keys. The practice that we're putting in, the races that we're doing, it's just fun. I'm just having fun playing the game, and I haven't been able to say that in a really long time. Between the league and this co-op cross keys tournament, I've just had a lot of fun, and we've been losing. So it doesn't have to be about winning and losing. It should always be about doing something that you enjoy. So if you are in winning, good for you, and you're enjoying that, good for you. But if you're not, can you still enjoy the game? And I hope Cap is enjoying the game. We talked a little bit about his improvement. And a big takeaway is I hope that people ask for help, no matter what, rando or life. It can be hard, taking a moment to swallow your pride a little bit, and it might be hard to find somebody, but there's people out there to help, whether it's rando or life. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't make it more difficult on yourself than it has to be. So again, thanks, Captain, for coming on the show. I really appreciated it. All right, next week we're going to have Shinmaru, who was my roommate at SGL. Really excited to talk with him, and it should be a good one. So check that out. Again, make sure you're voting for your favorite drafter from the Zelda music draft that we just had last week. The links are in the episode's description or on the 216 Discord in the announcements channel. If you want to get to the Discord, 216pod.com has the links that you need. Lots of talk going on. The Super Bowl's happening next week. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of conversation in the sports chat there. We've got the tournament happening, so a lot of different discussions happening there. And then, of course, we're talking about the episodes, especially with the music draft. People have a lot of opinions on the different songs that the people chose. A lot of great conversations happening there. So make sure you're joining our Discord. That's going to do it for us. Come back next week for Shinmaru. Thanks for listening.